Excellent. I think we can start. We're quite a number of people attending this webinar, so thanks for your time. I will do my best to give you as much value as possible in the next 30 minutes. And specifically, we're gonna be talking about personalization, and more in specific, we're gonna continue deep dive into how can you improve your sales results by personalizing. And more specifically, today we're going to open Ample Markets Cookbook. We're going to look into specific examples of SDRs. And also at the end, of course, there is the space to have a Q&A. Just before we get started, I just wanted to let you know the Q&A section is you can find it at the bottom of your screen, and it's just a matter of sending me your questions that you would like to see answered to, and I will try as much as I can to answer them before the end. If not, I will also export them and send an email later on with the replies to everyone. But before we do that, let me just introduce myself quickly to those that have not met me yet. So my name is Samuel, and I'm a product specialist at Ample Market. I think I've joined the team more or less 1.5 years ago. I was born in Belgium. I am living currently with my family in Portugal. I'm a huge fan of pizza, and I also think that Belgian chocolate is an excellent idea for your creativity. So you should read some articles on that. And another particularity is I've played 12 years basketball, but due to a knee injury, I had to quit. But I still followed NBA as much as I can. So if there are any Boston Celtics fans, let me know. Happy to chat about that. But so let's take a look at what we're gonna handle, right? So I've introduced a little bit the topics already on the calendar, but what I wanted to take a look at with you is actually the question that was launched to me in the webinar we hosted 2 weeks ago, because somebody asked, like, okay, so we've seen now this particular example. Is that Ample Market's main play? And that actually made us start thinking about what we actually could share with you. And we actually understood that maybe the best idea is to show you how Ample Market SDRs are using the platform in order to sell its own product. So how are they able to schedule 80 plus calls per month per SDR? And so when we looked into that question with the team, we tried to come up with this webinar. So give us your feedback if you would like to understand anything else about this topic. But here we go. Ample Markets Cookbook, as I would like to call it, is a bunch of recipes all together, and the main play is personalization at scale. Why am I saying personalization at scale? When we look into Ample Markets data, Ample Markets is used by different teams all over the globe. And one of the things that we see is the more personalized your email is, the better the sales performance. So what we try to do at Ample Market is we try to be as personalized as possible, but then do it at scale. And how do we exactly do that? And I've tried to outline it here on this slide by mentioning that, okay, we have multiple sales initiatives running simultaneously. And each one of those initiatives has the following 3 characteristics. We are targeting a relevant audience for our product. We are targeting them with a very relevant message. And we try to send them as much as possible at the relevant time. This means the buying time on the customer side. And this way, so with this recipe, our SDRs managed to schedule 80 plus calls monthly per SDR. In order for us to understand what is that, so if I go back a little bit, so what a relevant message, how would we understand that? So in order to understand that better, we need to take a look at the levels of personalizations that you can currently implement in your sales outreaches. And for that, I created this example on my Ample Market dashboard. So here we are on Ample Market, and we are actually in the preparation of a sequence. But actually, this is just to show you the following. So the levels of personalizations, I split them up like this. So you have first level 0. Those are the emails that we all receive. I think, if not daily, SDRs that send us an email, not even interested in who I am, but just mentioning their product, and they want to sell that product basically. So that's what we call level 0. And as you can see, a side effect is also that all of these emails to the prospects that are pre-selected here, all these emails, they look exactly the same. Level 0. Level 1, and I think there's a fair amount of technologies out there that allow you to do this, is to add data points of your prospects in your templates, right? So what you can see in this template, for example, is we have the first name of your prospect, you have the company name of the prospect, title, even the company industry, as you will. And what you can see is, yeah, it's true. The email is personalized towards specific people, but as you also can see, is 80% of the message is still the same. And so this is what we call level 1, and a fair amount of technologies is able to do that today. If you have any questions about this, share it with me in the Q&A, okay? So basically, let's go into then what we call level 2. And this is something that is only at the moment possible with Apple Market, is to actually leverage those data points that you have on your prospects to personalize every single email even more. And I'm not going to go too deep into this feature of Ample Market, which is called liquid syntax, because we already have an additional webinar on this one, but feel free to ask me for the recording. I can send it over to you. But the basic idea is that every data point of your prospect can also be used as a way to personalize the email even more. If for example, if the title contains specific keywords, we will send out specific parts of the email. But I would like to attract your attention to the right-hand side of my screen, which is how this helps you, how this liquid syntax helps you to personalize every single email that is going out of your account. And you can see, I can scroll through these leads, and none of these emails is exactly the same. And so this is what we call level 2, and that's what technology currently is able to do. That's why, if we know these levels of personalization, I want to go back to where we were originally and see how do SDRs at Ample Market use that technology to personalize at scale. And the team actually does what I call level 3 of personalization. We understood that the solution is not creating one of these templates with a liquid syntax and then just exhaustively start using that template to all of the prospects that you find, because that's not what works. What really works is, on top of leveraging the syntax, add even more relevancy to a specific template. And I'm trying to explain that by saying to you, like, search for buying intent in multiple ways, on multiple channels, multiple strategies. And so that's basically what the Ample Market team does. I think what is on your minds now, yeah, okay, Samuel, but how does that look like? Well, now what I would like to do with you is look into 3 specific examples of what SDRs do at Ample Market and how that brings them to better results. And the first one, I have it open here, is conferences. And I think this one, take some notes, because I think this one everybody should be doing, because it doesn't take that much effort, especially with Ample Market. And I think it's a quick learn. Conferences. We know that, of course, at the moment, conferences are online, but still, people are registering for online events, and we are able to understand which companies are attending those events. So that also gives you an extra point of leverage. And that's exactly what we're going to add to our template. And in this case, for example, I've pre-selected a couple of leads that come from the conference SaaStr. And what we actually just need to do here is, this is a custom template that the SDRs have at their disposal on the Ample Market platform. And they can just customize this template for conferences to the conference name that they have, which is in this case SaaStr. And if we look at how the template is built, you see that the first part of the email is leveraging that extra relevancy that we just talked about. So it says, hi, first name, this is going to be the year that I was going to attend, in this case SaaStr. And then, well, all the conferences went online. And then the template gives me the possibility, okay, replace this with a conference related content. So the only thing I need to do is, as an SDR, I need to switch this and what were your plans for SaaStr, for example, question mark. So it's loading, it should, yeah, exactly, it's showing up. And on top of that, so we add this relevancy to our template. And on top of that, we see that Ample Market's liquid syntax is present. So in, I think, 5 minutes, we were just able to take a basic template and personalize it specifically for a conference. And on top of that, we're also leveraging the keywords in their titles. Okay. So, of course, and then in the follow-up emails, we also leverage the syntax language. That's obvious. So once again, we have the maximum level of personalization with the technology of today. And on top of that, we add extra relevancy because we know that they were attending a specific conference. So we target them as well with that perspective. A second example, another way of understanding more data points on your prospects is, for example, this one that we also use quite often is, for example, for Ample Market, we have a couple of integrations in the platform, such as Salesforce, which is why through the database, you're able to, let me just open this quickly in another tab. So Ample Market allows you in the searcher to go through specific technologies, right? And in this case, what I did was, okay, I want to know which companies are using which companies are using Salesforce. So I created this example of a target audience that is relevant to us, sales titles in New York, and I added the fact that we know that they are using Salesforce. So an SDR can just create this kind of customer profile, start a sequence. Simple as that. Select, for example, in this case, I will select five leads. He can select any of our default. In this case, I prepared this one, which is the CRM default template, and I can just hit next. And we now have imported 5 leads from which we know that they have a sales function, and they additionally also used Salesforce at their company. So that extra level, which is Salesforce, we're going to add that into the sequence. Keep asking your questions. Like this, I can follow where I must be more specific. So the template is loaded with the specific leads. We know that they are using Salesforce. So the only thing we need to do is modify the specific information, the technologies that we were mentioning. So in this case, I just modified this to Salesforce. I did some homework and understand that you're using Salesforce as your CRM, could be any technology. And the last one as well. Okay, and as you can see, we're also leveraging the liquid syntax again. In this case, we're leveraging title, but you could leverage specific industries, etc. Okay, and then one of the things that we can do is, on top of that, is leverage another channel. And that's my third example, which for some people might already be more familiar because we already spoke about this in the last webinar. But basically, we are able to extract LinkedIn likes and comments, which means that, okay, that's an extra part that is extremely relevant. If we know that they liked or commented a specific post, so let's use that information in the template to add that extra relevancy. So in this case, what I have a couple of leads here. As you can see, we know if they liked or commented the post, and we see the original poster. So I'm going to leverage in my template all of those data points. When you can see first name, interaction tape, original poster, and what you can see, Rachel, I noticed you like Taylor offers LinkedIn post. Additionally, in the follow-up emails, we leverage liquid syntax in order to be even more personalized or to be random, so it doesn't impact your email deliverability, but that could be another webinar on email deliverability. I will take note of that. Let me know if that would be something that you're interested in. And basically, in no time, the only thing we had to do was search for a couple of leads with different buying intent and add that specific information to your template that already leverages liquid statements. So if we go back to our slides and think now, okay, Samuel, that's great. We saw a couple of examples, but how does that look in your day-to-day outreach as well? I just took a screenshot of one of our accounts, and this is how a typical day or week looks like on an Ample Market dashboard for an Ample Market SDR. You can see multiple templates, multiple strategies, all of them leveraging liquid syntax. None of them do not have it. And then on top of that, you see, okay, we don't have a lot of prospects in these campaigns, but when you add it up, we see that the interest ratio is much higher than if you would go for a specific number game and just exhaustively use the same template. And this is a way, basically, that Ample Market SDRs schedule 80 plus calls per month, and that's actually all there is to know. So again, we know that Ample Markets data is showing us that you can personalize at scale. So that's what we do. We run multiple initiatives, weekly, monthly, have different initiatives. You can search for conferences every month, and I really recommend it to do it because it's a very successful approach. You can find LinkedIn posts every week, every day. So go and fetch them and try the approach. And we're trying to send, of course, we try to send it at a relevant time. We try to create the template in such a way. For example, if we're targeting a conference, we're trying to be as near to the conference as possible, but also open up to possibilities of targeting conferences that were held in the past. Who knows what you can get out of that. I think because I think sometimes this might come over as a little bit complex, and I just noted these two things that I want you to take away from this webinar is avoid template exhaustion. Even if you're leveraging liquid syntax on your Ample Markets accounts, this is not a good idea because it might not work. What the key is, and that's what I try to explain you with those examples, is create multiple templates that leverage technology's possibilities that you currently have, and add on top of that extra relevancy. And that's how you can actually scale your personalization. Okay, so. And that's what we arrived to our Q&A section. And I actually, first of all, want to thank you for your time. Keep also asking your questions, because I think that's important for me. Also, if there are any other suggestions regarding topics that you would like me to talk about, or that you would like to know more about in terms of sales, we have a lot of data on Ample Market site, and we're happy to share it with you. So keep them coming. And of course, feedback is also much appreciated. Let me know what you thought of this webinar, if you liked it or not. And if you give me now a little bit of time, I can look into specific questions that came in. Interesting. So there is someone asking a very interesting question, like, will there always be a compromise between personalization and a number of prospects in a sequence beyond targeting a specific job title and industry? I think the question it's a very relevant question to this webinar, and I think so if I have to formulate an answer to that, I would say yes and no. A sequence can be relevant for a large audience, while still, it could be relevant for a large audience while still being relevant. Yeah, think conference attendees, for example. The campaign will be very relevant, and the audience is large, right? We know that there are multiple conferences out there. You know that they are attending. So basically, you already have a set of leads. So it's just a matter of targeting those specific ones. And so the compromise here, it depends on the size of the conference, but it's definitely worth it. The more you can add your relevancy, the better your replies. The same thing as we discussed is for technologies. Depends on the number of companies, for example, that would be using Salesforce, which in this case I know is a huge amount. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's an interesting one, and I think we can schedule a call on that one to have an even better reply to that one. Let me take a look at another question. So can you give me an example of how you target titles differently? Yeah, I think there were a couple of those in here. Let me go to my levels of personalization. And what you can see is here, for example, we have the introduction of the email is based on different titles. So if a specific title contains CEO or chief executive, then we're going to send him this part. If the title contains another keyword such as sales or marketing, then you'll see that we printed out this one. And this is basically the feature that we have on Apple Market, which is called liquid templating. And I can send you the webinar that we have recorded for that one. So I can just let me know if you would like to know more about it. How do you search for the most relevant posts on LinkedIn? That's a good one. So somebody, when we were actually looking into this approach, of course, you need to find some LinkedIn posts in order to target them. So I'm going to share again with everybody the recording of last week's webinar, because there we specifically handled on how to target a LinkedIn post and how you can find multiple posts. So I will definitely share that one with you. Somebody is mentioning what is the difference in results between a short cadence and a long cadence. I think that's we can do a whole webinar on that one, because that really depends from industry to industry. But currently, I think, and I can confirm that later on with the team, what we see is that most of the interested leads that come from these kind of cadences, if you do the way that Ample Market does, which is add the relevant topic in the first email, we see that the majority of the interested leads come from the first email. And then at the moment we see that adding 3 follow-ups is okay, but anything that comes after, we see that actually might hurt your deliverability. But more on that in another webinar. Oh, so how long does it take to create these personal templates? So at Apple Market, what we do is the entire team has all of the templates shared. So if one SDR creates a specific template that can be used for, let's use the conference one again. So you have one template that is customizable to all the conferences. It's shared all over the team, which means that it basically is once that you need to test whether the template works on a specific conference, and then you can just iterate on it, modify it. But so I would say in the beginning you need a little bit more time, and at the end it's just a matter of choosing, and in 5 minutes you have it ready for the leads that you found. I don't know if that answers your question, but let me know if it doesn't. Somebody asking if this is going to be recorded. Yeah, it's recorded. I can send it over later to you. Is it possible to over-personalize? I don't think it's possible. I think the only thing that you need to think of is be relevant as much as possible to your prospect. So personalization needs to add value to your email, right? So you could obviously write emails with loads and loads of topics that or of informations that you know about the prospect, but usually what we see is the structure, the basic structure of an email would be an introduction where you add relevancy to your prospect, so not talking about your own product. Secondly, adding your value proposition. What exactly are you offering to solve a specific problem that your prospect has, with a small call to action. And so in this way, I don't think it's really possible to over personalize if you stay within that framework. Yeah, again, this could be an entire webinar. I'll take note of that. Let me know if this didn't answer your question, because I can schedule a call with you to work on that one. And I think in the meantime, there's still quite a lot of questions. So what I'm going to do, because I also want to respect your time, and I see that we already passed this 30 minutes, and I know you guys might have a lot of meetings to attend to. So I'm going to export all the questions, and I'm going to answer them in a report to everyone. I will also send the recording over, and then the only thing that is left for me to say is thank you for attending. I hope you learned something. If you have any suggestion or feedback, let me know. Connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email. Happy to talk. Okay, thank you very much, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.